Welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com, a Jaguars post-victory edition of Duval Daily here. The Jaguars have taken down the Jets by a final score of 19-3 on the road in East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife. The Jaguars win 19-3. A cold, rainy, windy night in New Jersey. No Cam Robinson, no Trayvon Walker, no Foley Fatukasi, no problem for your Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags entered this one 2-6 away from Jacksonville on the year. They now get to 3-6 away from TIAA Bank Field, 7-8 overall. There was a point in the season when the Jaguars were 2-6 and losers of 5 straight. They've now won 5 out of their last 7 contests and 4 out of 5, largely thanks to the development of Trevor Lawrence in Doug Peterson's offensive system. We've got to talk about it here. When it comes to winning the AFC South, which is the Jaguars' clearest path to the 2022 postseason, the Jaguars are in control of their own destiny now at 7-8. If they beat Houston and beat Tennessee, they are in the 2022 NFL playoffs. But if the Titans lose one of their next 2 games before they take on the Jaguars in Week 18, the Jags could lose to the Texans, then beat the Titans, and get in. But it's all going to come down to, it's looking like Week 18, Titans at Jaguars to close out the regular season. The winner of that contest, in all likelihood, will punch their ticket to the playoffs, will win the AFC South. And the Titans are going to be having to be doing it without their starting quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. They'll be doing it with Malik Willis, the rookie quarterback out of Liberty. Athletic young kid, but long way to go in terms of his development. But getting back into this Jaguars victory over the Jets that has put them in position to continue to fight for the playoffs and have their playoff chances increased with this victory. But looking at this contest, Jaguars, they do not like to receive the ball first. They like to defer to the second half, get the ball, and they like to try to set it up to where they can go score at the end of the first half and get the ball at the start of the second half. Didn't work out. They lost the coin toss. And as it has gone so often early in games this year, specifically on the first drive, the Jaguars unable to hold on to the football on third down. Really quick pressure in Trevor Lawrence's face. He fumbles the ball as he's getting taken to the ground. There was obviously too much pressure and too quickly on that play, but he's got to hold on to the football in that situation. Was unable to do it, but didn't really matter because Jaguars defense, despite being backed up in their own territory, they stood up against the Jets early, and they did it often. Again, limiting the Jets to 3 total points in this game. After that initial fumble, you had Rayshon Jenkins fly into the football. You had Andre Sisco picking up a sack. Both safeties really having a big impact on the Jets' first offensive drive, limiting the Jets to 3 points, even though they started really, really deep into plus territory against the Jaguars. You had Mike Caldwell, Jaguars defensive coordinator. He called a really aggressive game, and it looked like he had the upper hand from a schematic standpoint on what the New York Jets were trying to do. A lot of that might have had to do with Zach Wilson and his inability to operate the Jets offense. But good for Mike Caldwell calling an aggressive game against a team that he really needed to call an aggressive game against. And good for his defensive front for getting after it, right? You talk about a team that has really kind of flipped the switch over the last 3 weeks when it comes to creating pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And again, they did it tonight without Trayvon Walker, without Foley Fatukasi, and they were able to get 3 total sacks. They were in the backfield a lot more than that, a lot of pressure in this one. And this is just the instant analysis. We will go back tomorrow morning, dive deeper into this, and provide a little bit of a deeper breakdown following the film review. But looking at it upon first watch, you see this defense there in the backfield a ton. 3 total sacks, as I mentioned. Roy Robertson-Harris got 1. Devon Hamilton got 1. And as I mentioned, Andre Sisco got 1. You look at their ability to deflect passes. They had 7 passes defended tonight. Darius Williams was really, really good in coverage. I thought he could have had 2 or 3 interceptions in this contest. Wasn't able to come down with any of them, but he was breaking up passes left and right, playing really well on the outside. You look at the Jaguars winning the turnover battle in this one, ended up winning it 2-1. Devin Lloyd got the interception at the end of the half, which marked his third interception, fifth total forced turnover for Devin Lloyd in his rookie year. You can say a lot about the struggles he's had, but the kid does know how to get his hands on the football. And then you had the Foye kick fumble late in the game, kicked the ball accidentally out of Garrett Wilson's hands into the waiting arms of Trey Herndon, who registered his first fumble recovery of the year. Looking at the Jaguars offense, though, Ingram had the hot hand early and often with this offense. He had another really big game, did Evan Ingram, for the Jaguars receiving the ball, was by far their leading receiver in this one and their leading target getter as well from the tight end position. He became the Jaguars' single-season tight end leader in receptions all time. So big year for Evan Ingram. Big run that he's on right now. He caught 7 of 8 targets for 113 yards, a long of 36, average of 16. Another really great performance by him. Christian Kirk didn't get a whole lot done in this game. The Jaguars actually decided to run the ball more than they threw the ball in this one. A lot of that had to do with the weather conditions and the game script. The Jaguars were leading most of this game, so they were able to come out, ball control offense. They ran the ball for 147 yards on 39 carries, 39 total attempts for the Jaguars, rushing only 31 pass attempts for Trevor Lawrence, who was only sacked once. So credit to Walker Little, credit to the rest of that offensive line, and credit to Trevor Lawrence for avoiding some of the pressure that the Jets brought up in his face. But yeah, not a masterful performance by the offense against a really talented Jets defense, a really sound Jets defense. The Jets don't do a lot of different things. It's a very simple defense, but they execute at a high level and they have a lot of talent. The Jaguars were able to execute at a little bit higher level on offense than the Jets were on defense today. Again, part of that came from balance. Part of that came from the Jets offense being inept, Zach Wilson not being able to get anything going. Part of that had to do with just the attack of Doug Peterson's passing offense. Not only the running offense getting 147 yards on the ground, but Trevor Lawrence on 31 attempts getting 229 yards through the air. Again, heavily targeting Evan Ingram. He had over half of the Jaguars' receiving yards. But Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, they devised a plan here against this Jets defense to get the ball out quickly. He was getting the ball out so quick on so many different opportunities, and I'm sure he's going to end up being close to, if not the quickest time to throw in the league this week. I think it was around 2.2 seconds last time I checked to throw for Trevor Lawrence this week. That just shows a mastery of the offense, an understanding of the offense, and an understanding of how you're trying to attack this Jets defense. And it was kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts when you talk about the Jaguars' plan against these Jets, and it worked pretty well. Sure, the Jets forced the Jaguars into a lot of field goal attempts in this one, but the Jaguars were able to move the ball well. And I think if you're talking about a game where weather wasn't so much of an issue, you're probably looking at the Jaguars putting up a good bit more on the board. And if the Jets were actually pushing the Jaguars throughout this game from a scoreboard standpoint, from a game script standpoint, you might see more from the Jaguars offense as well in this one. But I thought that it was a really good plan, trying to play some ball control, trying to run the ball a little bit more, not take so many risks in this one. And speaking of running the ball more, Trevor Lawrence, I'm not sure if this was his best rushing day of his career, but if it wasn't, it was damn close. He had 7 carries for 51 yards, had the lone offensive touchdown for the Jaguars today, lone touchdown of the game for either team, for that matter, on a 1-yard quarterback keeper. Got up over the top of the pile, extended his arms, got the ball over the goal line for the first and only score of the game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Travis Etienne was a little loose with the football. You've seen that a lot this year. Did not fumble it today, though. 22 carries, 83 yards, which is exactly what he needed to get to 1,000 rushing yards on the season. So he's had over 1,000 total yards, scrimmage yards, for a couple weeks now, but now eclipses the 1,000 rushing yard mark in his first season as a pro. Missed all of 2021 with the Liz Frank injury. And he exited the game with, it looked like a shoulder early on, but he came right back out there. Brandon Sheriff also exited the game with an ankle injury, and he came right back out there on the next drive. Late in the game, you did see Dewan Smoot go down with an injury. You hate to speculate on what that might be at this point, but something to keep an eye on for sure as the Jaguars move forward here. Yeah, I thought Doug Peterson was absolutely in his bag, and he has been for a long time. I think the adjustment they made in this game, just trying to get the ball out as quickly as possible, get into their playmakers' hands, I think that just continued to show how comfortable Doug Peterson is with this offense, with Trevor Lawrence, with his skill position players, and how high of a level that he and Trevor Lawrence are operating on right now. Decision-making wise for Doug Peterson, I thought you probably should have gone for it on 4th down, 4th and 1, end of the second quarter. You decided to go for a 45-yard field goal, I believe it was, in that weather. I thought that it just made sense game situation-wise. The Jaguars were up 10 at that point. You make the field goal, you go up 13. It's still a 2-score game. You try to go get that first down and potentially get a touchdown, then you're talking about a 3-score game. You'd be up 17 in that situation. But overall, Doug Peterson's done just a really special job with this Jaguars team so far. Jets, they tried to make it interesting in the second half, bringing in Chris Streveler, who is more of a move quarterback, running type quarterback. He got some things going, but obviously not enough, was not able to get the Jets any points. Logan Cook, a beautiful coffin corner punt in this one, downed by Chris Claybrooks at the 1. That was late in the game. That was a pretty big moment, just trying to seal this game. Riley Patterson, he made 4 of 5 kicks despite the weather, and I thought he did what he needed to do in this game for the Jaguars to get the dub. It was a big win, a big win for this team, because you're talking about winning in primetime, which the Jaguars don't do. They don't win in primetime. They don't win in primetime on the road either. Trevor Lawrence has struggled away from Jacksonville. This team has struggled away from Jacksonville. So winning in primetime in a big moment away from Jacksonville, I think it was a huge win for the Jaguars. But if you're the Jets, gosh, where does your offense go from here? You just hope you can get Mike White back soon, because Zach Wilson is clearly not going to be the answer for the New York Jets. He just does not look like he knows how to operate an NFL offense at all at this point, unfortunately for him. The Jaguars, again, are in control of their own destiny. If the Titans lose this weekend when they host the Houston Texans, the Jaguars will take the top spot in the AFC South. They will take first place. Both teams would be 7-8. The Jaguars would hold the tiebreaker with the head-to-head record, having beaten the Titans a couple weeks ago. But again, it's all going to come down to Week 18. It looks like a showdown between the Jaguars and their arch rivals, the Tennessee Titans, in Jacksonville to punch a ticket into the playoffs and to host a home playoff game if you win your division, if you win the AFC South. So a lot on the line over the next coming weeks. Enjoy this win. Enjoy it through the holiday weekend. Enjoy it into next week. The Jaguars are going to have about 10 days off before they travel to Houston to try to exercise some demons of their own, as they've been doing quite often this year. Jaguars have not beaten the Houston Texans since 2017. They're going to need to break that streak as well next week. The Texans have been playing some tough football. They've taken the Cowboys and the Chiefs to the brink in recent weeks, so it should be an interesting one between the Jags and the Texans next week. But again, enjoy the holiday weekend, enjoy the win, enjoy victory Thursday night, enjoy victory Friday, victory weekend. It's going to be all about the Jaguars, and it's going to be all positive over the next week or so before you get into Week 17 and things start to heat up again as the Jags take the show on the road for the second straight week against the Houston Texans. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think. You can also drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you're feeling about this game. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Also, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a show. You can check out our channel membership here, get some cool discounts over at genjag.com, some perks on the YouTube channel here, and you can also, again, check out genjag.com, pick up some new Duval gear. Thank you so much for tuning in, Duval. Have a great holiday weekend.